need some tunes while I play, so let's turn on the music and get going.
Yeah, says the price of stamps did go up.
Unless you have forever stamps.
Yeah, forever stamps.
Yeah.
What should I work on today? Oh yeah, I gotta finish up the Kmart radio, so why don't I do that since I found the parts. George, you're getting in the way here. Seriously, you're the next video. Quit trying to hog screen time. Come on now. Give me some room here. Your story's coming up soon. Don't worry about it. Kmart radio part 2. I left it open because I was trying to find some parts, mostly electrolytic capacitors. And I have found some candidates of various and sundry sizes and abilities, all close to the original specs, because I didn't want to go overboard. I found some, not 200 microfarad ones, but 220, because that is the values that are sold most commonly now, unless I want to dig into some old new stock, but I don't. Or new old stock? Old new stock. Old stuff that's new. I think there's a logical fallacy there. And a whole bunch of other pieces and parts that were organized until I bumped them with my finger and George got in the way. These are probably going to be too big for the space available. Yeah, I just don't think they're going to fit in these locations. So I'm probably going to go for the smaller ones and we'll go from there. I've got over here, obviously much more than I need. 220 microfarad, 25 volts. The rule of thumb is you can go up a little bit in voltage for the most part, as long as you stay around the same capacitance. 200 microfarad capacitors aren't as common now as 220. So I can measure these and see which ones get closer. The blue guys here, though, are just too big, so they're not going to make the cut. Pew! I have some other 220s. I got some 220, 10 volts, which is exactly the right voltage reading. I've got some 220 microfarad, 10 volts, which are also the right measurements. They're slightly different. These are a little bigger, those are a little smaller. I also have some 220, 25 volts, and I just have to decide which ones to use. Isn't it amazing the size difference now of capacitors? I mean, even these guys, which can be a replacement for the gray one here, are tiny. I think I'm going to go with these. So these are out. Now these blue ones are 470 microfarads at 10 volts. And I have two 470 microfarads. And these are rated at 16 volts. And I have some 470 microfarad rated at 10 volts. And just because I want to keep the look similar, I'm actually going to go up a little bit in voltage on those. Don't know why, I just am. So I think I'm going to put these aside and use these two fellows. I've got one 0.47 microfarad one, and I only came across in my stores one type. Great, the yard folks have showed up. A YouTuber audio person's perfect storm. The yellow capacitors here are 5 microfarad, and the modern equivalents are 4.7 microfarad. So what I did is I kind of measured some that were closer to 5 because of the way in percentages than farther away. So I've got some 4.7 microfarad capacitors. So those are going to go in. This is a 10 microfarad capacitor, which I actually had. I got a bunch of them, but I don't need that many of them. So there we go. I'm going to replace 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 capacitors, and then button it all back up and see if it still works, because it was working before. So I hope I don't kill it, because that would be sad. And I don't like to be sad, especially when I'm making fun videos. I don't want this in my misadventure category. was mistaken earlier. They are all rated for 10 volts, except for this one. Rated for 16. Which thankfully, the one I pulled out to replace it with was rated for that. So they all had originally 10, and I misread this one. What got me was it's a 10 microfarad at 16 volts. And I think I did 10 microfarad at 10 volts, but I replaced it with the right one in the board. So all the capacitors are replaced. The 200 microfarad has been replaced with a 220, 470 microfarad, 470 microfarad, all rated for 10 volts, although the 470s I upgraded to 16 volts. And the 0.47 capacitor was changed. This was a 4.7 microfarad that I replaced the 5 with. Same thing here. And this was the one that I misread earlier that's 10 microfarad, 16 volts, which thankfully is what I pulled out to replace it with. Now all I have to do is put this back together and hope it works again. Thankfully, while putting it back together, I managed to catch that I disconnected the yellow wire from the speaker to an interesting solder place on the circuit board. It's not where I would have done it, but that's where it was, so that's where I put it. One screw. Now we just have to hope it still works after all that. Also got to clean the outside and maybe treat the faux leather. And play around with the rusty snaps. Here's the finishing shot. All the things I used to clean it up, work on it, clean it, solder it. Here are the electrolytic capacitors that, here are the electrolytic, here are the electrolytic, here are the electrolytic pass, here are the electrolytic, I'm getting tongue-tied today. Here's the capacitors. Here's the capacitors that I replaced with the newer ones that you saw earlier. In fact, the gray one here was barely testing at all. These measured kind of okay, but not great. The 10 microfarad capacitor was measuring about 15, which ain't great. The two 5 microfarad capacitors were measuring about 4.7, which is kind of funny. And the 0.47 probably could have stayed in, but it's been replaced too. And it's been cleaned up inside and out. You've probably seen me doing a lot of cleaning on the video. And here it is. Now we have to see if it works. So let me clean up the spot here, change the camera angle, and then see if it works. I hope it does. Otherwise, I've done a lot of work for nothing. And unmade it working. Unworked it, unmade it. I broke it. I hope I don't break it. I may have broken it. I don't know. I can't talk today. It's been a long day. All kinds of things have been going on. Ah! George, seriously, again? I know, you want in on this, but you're next time. Seriously, next time. George. Here's the moment of truth. Hope it works. Keep your fingers crossed. I've had a day. You're only going to see me working on a radio in this video, but I had to work on my car twice. Once with a flat tire and once with something inside with the seat not wanting to work. It works now. So, back to the radio. Please work.
And before I started school. And the doctor was all like, is this better or this? Then I went next door to pick out new glasses. And they had so many. I was like, teal or purple, fierce or fancy. And the battle raged on until, with our back to school sale, get 2 pairs for just $79, including polycarbonate lenses and a free 1-year frame warranty. And now
two buildings. But now developers are considering newer structures that are more difficult to convert, with huge floor plates and windows that don't open. Back in Boston, conversions are not.
Now let's see if it works on AM.
Scandal scam is on Netflix. So
the dude from Florida.
Yes, so that's what I got.
Presumed innocent on Apple TV. Jake Gyllenhaal should win an award for this.
It would appear. It works. I've managed to clean the switch, change capacitors, clean the wiring on the inside, both sides of the circuit board. I had to struggle mightily to get the tuning dial calibrated correctly. Probably didn't record a bunch of that because I said a lot of curse words. Cleaned it inside and out, made some improvements, fixed the branding and some of the silvering, cleaned it all up, polished the leather, cleaned it all up, fixed the sticker on the back, reinforced the snaps, cleaned all the rust, and just made it almost, well, it'll never be new again, but probably better than it's been in a long time. And now it's done. Don't look at me that way. Yeah, you. I know. Maybe you'll be in a video too. The Kmart radio. Now to put it somewhere and actually use it. Thanks for watching. It's hot. The Kmart radio is done.